Hi you guys, so this equation is about how to find the slope of a line. So the first thing I want to show you is that in your log tables there on page 18 you've got a formula for slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the first thing I want to do is just really briefly show you a little bit about why the formula works or where the formula comes from. So I'm just going to mark the point, two nice simple points, two nice positive points on the graph. So 2, 2, and we'll go with 6, 8. So a simple way of thinking about slope is the slope of something. It's like thinking about how steep something is. So if we're to look at this line here, alright, so it's pretty steep. So if I was to draw in this line here, this line isn't as steep, and then maybe this line is almost flat. That line there would be a really steep line. Slope is a little bit like how steep something is. A way that we measure slope in maths is by how far the line is rising over how far the line is falling. So how much it goes up over how far across it's going. So if I was to take these 2 points and I was to look at how far the line rises from one point to the next, how far it rises is that much there, and then how much it runs or goes across is that much there. So I can see here in this question that the rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes, so 6. So the rise is 6 and the run is 4 because it's 4 boxes across. Therefore my rise over run here would be 6 over 4, and that's the same thing as 3 over 2 when I simplify down the fraction. So my slope for that line is actually 3 over 2. So how do we get this y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 then? Well, if you think about it, if I was to look at the two y coordinates here first, so my y coordinates are 8 and 2. And what you realize is that the difference between 8 and 2 is actually 6. So those are my y coordinates there. So really, by subtracting your y coordinates, by doing 8 minus 2, you find out how much is in between them. So you actually find out from your y coordinates how much the line rises. And then equally with the same with the x coordinates. So to work out the run, you're kind of just focusing on your x coordinates. So my x coordinates here are 6 and 2. So if I was to draw a line down to the x-axis, I know that it's getting a little bit messy now, but what I'm really looking at when I think about run is what's the difference in between the x coordinates. And an easy way to find the difference between your x coordinates is just by subtracting them. So you do 6 minus 2, which is 4. So 6 over 4 is the rise over the run. So that's where my formula comes from then. On the top, it's the difference between the y coordinates, so y2 minus y1, over the difference between the x coordinates, so x2 minus x1. So that's a little bit about why the formula is there, but you don't really need to understand where the formula comes from to be able to do simple questions on it. So let's just look at the examples here. So by having the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, it takes out all of that work. We can just plug the numbers into the formula and it should give us the slope. So first example, find the slope of the line with points 5 minus 3 and minus 1 minus 8. So I'm just going to put these numbers straight into the formula. And it should give me the answers. y2 is minus 8. y1 is, so to subtract the y1 value, so the y1 value is minus 3, so it's minus 3, over x2 is minus 1, minus, and my x1 value is positive 5, so minus 1 minus 5. So minus 8 minus minus 3 will be minus 5, and on the bottom I get minus 6, so minus 1 minus 5 is minus 6. And then, so my answer is minus divided by minus is positive, so it's just 5 over 6. So the slope in this example is 5 over 6. One thing I just didn't mention at the start as well was, if you look at this sentence, very important, in maths the symbol for slope is m, so that's actually confusing. So I see loads of people and loads of students all the time mixing up midpoint with slope, because there's m is actually the symbol for slope, which is very confusing. So you would think that they would use s because s is the first letter in slope, but no, it's m. So m, the reason I heard before is that it comes from the word monter in French, and monter means, if you do French, it means to climb, so that's where the symbol m actually comes from. So it just makes your life a little bit harder to and more confusing. So if you want to try this question, then so try to fill it. If you want to pause the video now and fill the numbers into the formula, and then play on the video and I'll go through the answer for you. So y2 is 7 minus, and y1 is 3, and x2 is 4, and x1 is minus 2, so minus minus 2. So on top 7 minus 3 is 4, on the bottom 4 minus minus 2 is 6, because minus minus makes plus. So I can simplify down the answer then into 2 over 3, so you can always simplify the fractions at the end. So my slope here m equals 2 over 3.